Improvisation is all about creating music spontaneously. There's nothing mysterious about this process because the word mystery basically means the inability to understand, which translates into misunderstanding. If we simply change the word misunderstanding to understanding, suddenly the mystery element of improvising is no longer present. So once you're familiar with the basics of how jazz lines are created, you'll be able to improvise, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. That's what we're doing today. So grab your bass and let's get started. The anatomy of a jazz line can be broken down into 6 basic subject areas that, in my opinion, create the core of all jazz improvisation. These include chord tones, which are the root, 3, 5, and 7th of any chord quality, scale passing tones, which are scale tones that connect 2 adjacent chord tones, either ascending or descending, diatonic approach notes, which are the notes that approach chord tones by either a scale step that's above or below, chromatic approach notes, where chord tones are approached by either a half step above or below, chord tensions, which are extensions from the basic chord tones that add color and richness to a chord without destroying its harmonic integrity. And then adding to that, we have rhythm, which is the way that music is organized in respect to time. In the next example, I'm going to freely improvise over the changes of Softly as in a Morning Sunrise, where you'll hear a mixture of all these elements put together. Stick around because I'm going to break the whole thing down a little later. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what I played here. Now this tune is based on a standard 32 bar form, AABA, so it's got 4 8-bar sections. All the A sections are based on C minor. When you hit the bridge, we've got 2 bars of E flat major 7, then 2 bars of C7 flat 9, a bar of F minor 7, D7, and then 2 bars of G7 flat 9. And then the last 8 goes back to the C minor. So when we start with the first A section, on the first 4 bars, what I'm really doing is just playing some melody embellishment here and using lyrical phrasing, which includes some chord tones and some diatonic approach notes. It's something, that sort of thing. Just taking little quotes from the melody. It's kind of a nice thing to do in your solos because it gives the listener something to latch on to that you're actually playing. It's not exactly identical to the melody there, but it's close enough, and you can sort of reference what's going on there, and it gives you kind of a launching pad to build from there. Going into the next 4 bars, what I've got is I've got this sort of chromatic idea where I'm using some scale passing tones as well, and it's something like this. Okay, so over the next 8 bars, what I'm doing is using a concept called superimposition. This is where I'm taking the E flat major 7 chord and I'm arpeggiating up and down. It's helping me to bring out that flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11, and 13 over that C minor sound, which is very cool. Then I kind of morph that into a C minor major 7 idea using chromaticism with some diatonic approach notes. Okay, so from there, to finish off that section, I'm using some triad pair ideas. This is where I'm taking an E flat triad and an F triad which brings out the 3, 5, flat 7, then the 11, 13, and the root of the C minor 7 chord, and then helps me to kind of segue from there into the bridge. And I'm basically just going through the chord inversions of those triads. So on the B section, this starts off with an E flat major 7 chord, and all I'm doing is playing these double stops where I hit the 5 and the 9, then I hammer on into the 3 but keep that 5 ringing on the top, and then just kind of helps me to kind of create a little melodicism. I've got some double stops in there, so it creates some harmony in there. When you hear that, and you hear that E flat in the root, that sounds really nice. And it also gives me some reprieve from the actual burning eighth notes that are going through this whole thing. And it's a good way to do that. It just gives you a bit of a rest, because sometimes you need to rest. You can't just play, fast tempos like that through everything. And it sounds good too. It brings out some melodicism. In the next 2 bars, it's a C7 flat 9. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a scale called the C major pentatonic flat 2. So it's just like a major pentatonic scale, but instead of with a 2, it's got a flat 2. That scale would be... And it really sounds nice to bring out that sort of C7 with a natural 13 and a flat 9, which is really that sort of diminished sound. And I'm just playing a pattern here. Then it goes into F minor 7, and I've got F minor 7, and then the next bar is D7. Now, all I'm doing is playing an F minor idea over both of those bars. The reason this works is because over the D7, the F minor is going to be the sharp 9, the sharp 11, flat 7, and flat 9 of the D7 chord, which is really cool. So the idea is just... And then the last 2 bars of the bridge, I'm playing the G7 flat 9. And I'm just using superimposition again. And I'm using an A flat minor major 7 idea. And then I bring it back to the root of the chord in the next A section. So in the last A section, I go back to playing some lyrical phrasing ideas, where I play a couple of chord tones with a diatonic approach note, then coupled with a nice little blues lick. Then I just follow that up with a chromatic idea using a diatonic approach note in there somewhere over the C minor 7 chord. Okay, you go practice. Now, it goes without saying that there's a lot of other improvisational devices that we could stack on top of these core elements, as the study of improvisation is a lifelong pursuit. With that said, you could easily spend the next 5 years working on these subjects that I've mentioned here today. But I've said many times before, to really get something together, it goes way beyond the scope of a YouTube video. So if you'd like to take this further and get me to help you to navigate your musical journey, then you've got 3 options. You can check out my books, where you'll find 10 titles covering a wide range of material, which you can find right over here. To check out all my online bass courses that are available for beginners, intermediate, or advanced players, just click the link here. Or to get it straight from the source, I'd like to invite you to become part of my Inner Circle group of private students by clicking here. Remember that once you understand the basics, applying the material to any given style is immediately attainable. Until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.